it's great to have a compostable pod, but we actually make a really good cup of coffee. So James, when it's ready, we'll be sending you some, and
Oh,
you could
great.
try it. You'll be happy to see it doesn't taste like mud water. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, we've nailed the extraction, especially using our materials. We're able to get more volume into our K cup, and that's one of the big drivers of why we get a lot of attention for our technology and what we've been able to do.
Hey there, Midas Letter subscribers, traders, investors, and viewers. Today my guest is Ash Guglani. He is the president of NEXE Innovation Inc, trading on the TSX Venture under the symbol NEXE. Ash, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Ash, can you start with an overview of what's the business of NEXE?
Yeah, so what NEXE does is we take advanced manufacturing technologies and we create compostable product innovations to replace everyday single-use plastics. Our main purpose right now is single-serve coffee pods. We're taking, right now, our focus has been a fully compostable, K-cup. And we're also working on launching a fully compostable Nespresso pod during this quarter, actually.
Huh. Wow, that's huge. So certainly that's the weak point in the whole value proposition of those pod coffee systems, is the fact that this never-ending stream of waste is clogging landfills. So how do you go about reprocessing them? What exactly is the process?
Well, the whole purpose of a K cup or an espresso pod was convenience. One shot of coffee and you're good. But it's created this massive stream of waste. And what's happened now is you've seen Nespresso come out and K cup or Keurig come out and say we're going to do a recyclable pod. Well, I don't know if you ever tried to recycle a pod. It is one hell of a process. You gotta rip the lid off, throw that in the garbage, take the grounds out, throw that in the compost, take the filter out, and maybe the shell will get recycled. With our pod, everything is compostable. All the materials were plant based. All our materials are compostable, and even the coffee is compostable. So you take the pod, you brew it, and you throw it in your green bin.
Right. So you guys have raised over $64 million to date, and some of that's come from the government. So what's the status of the revenue model? How do you make money with this?
So what we're going to be doing here is with that capital raised, we are waiting for some of our key equipment to come in to scale the project. We can launch now. So we're going to be doing some e-commerce launches here for we've launched Zoma Superfoods. We'll be launching our next Nespresso pods as well as our next K-Cup coffee pods over the remainder of this year, and really get it going on e-commerce, because coffee is it's a product of convenience. You don't have to go to the grocery store to get coffee. Nespresso proved that a long time ago with their subscription model. So we'll be following the same channels, and as we are able to launch and scale these products, we've got a lot of partners who would love to work with us, and if it makes sense, we'll definitely look at those opportunities.
Sure. So then who are some of the bigger corporate relationships you have?
Well, right now we're not really going to say much. Right now, we're focused more on just getting our product out there, getting it into the hands of all our in the hands of customers who want access to a compostable coffee pod. I could tell you there's probably over 40 billion pods plus are consumed and produced and consumed every year. And that continues to grow at 8.5% a year. So getting customers for a compostable coffee pod is not going to be hard. The one thing I will say is it's great to have a compostable pod, but we actually make a really good cup of coffee. So James, when it's ready, we'll be sending you some, and
Oh,
you could
great.
try it. You'll be happy to see it doesn't taste like mud water. So it's
Yeah.
we've nailed the extraction, especially using our materials. We're able to get more volume into our K cup, and that's one of the big drivers of why we get a lot of attention for our technology and what we've been able to do.
Sure. So what kind of expense does this add to the whole economics of serving an instant cup of coffee using these systems to use your compostable pods in lieu of what the existing technology is?
You know what? It's not going to be much different. I mean, there'll be a little bit of a premium. I think customers are willing to pay a little bit more for a compostable pod, but we're not looking to. For us, it's more about just getting the exposure for a compostable pod out there. So they'll be priced fairly similar to a Starbucks K cup or a Nespresso pod,
All
which would
right,
be around a buck.
okay. And so in terms of the capacity to produce, like would you be able to supply all of Nespresso's sort of global customer base at this point, or what would you have to do to get to that point?
Well, our goal is to get capacity in by the end of, or really in by Q1 to have capacity of about 200 million pods between Nespresso and K Cup. That's a drop in the bucket. As I mentioned, there's about over 40 billion pods are produced and consumed for both formats. So it's a long road ahead, but the economics are very good, and getting to that 200 million mark plus, ordering new lines. I mean, I think we're going to make a pretty good dent out the gate, and keep working to create the best partnerships we can to create the most disruption we can.
Yeah, you bet. What's the competitive landscape look like for that sort of segment? Is there a lot of companies producing compostable, biodegradable coffee pods?
There are a couple others. Like I said before, I think we've seen more recyclable pods out there. There's a couple other compostable pods, but look, it's a huge space, and it's a huge mission, and there's massive distribution, and I mean the industry is ready for disruption. So we know what gives us a competitive advantage with our pods with volume, and I think that's what's going to drive a large chunk of the customer base towards our pods.
Okay. What's the pathway look like towards profitability for the company?
Well, I think once we're able to kind of once we're able to build this at scale, profitability is not it's not difficult. It's really a volume-based business, right? So, once we could kind of start filling that capacity more towards that 200 million, I don't think profitability is an issue.
Okay, is there any risk that the manufacturers of the incumbent technologies will just sort of say, hey, that's a good idea, let's do that ourselves instead of coming to you? Or is it going to be more economic and from a time basis to just come and use your technology?
Well, I think the latter there. We've got a lot of IP around not just our capsule, but even around our machinery and our processes. All of our equipment is highly customized. We've learned a lot about these materials over the last 5 years. This isn't something that you could kind of really reverse engineer. There's really all our ingredients and our own secret sauce. We've got a lot of trade secrets with this. As I mentioned, we've got IP, but we've really learned how these materials work at high speed and how they work together in a high pressure, high heat environment when they're going through a coffee machine. So it's something that I think we've done a pretty good job in protecting ourselves, and we'll continue to do a pretty good job in protecting
Sure.
ourselves as our.
Okay, great. Ash, we're going to leave it there for now. We'll come back to you in due course for a follow-up. That's a great story. We look forward to hearing more. Thanks for your time today.